everyone. And today we have a special guest, Regina Marrazza. I know Regina from PCPA days, so that's going back some, isn't it, Gina?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's been a long time. First, I would like to thank you again for what you do for Masterclass. Your spontaneity and your musicality just grabs everyone, and you just pull them in. I find that such a special gift that you have. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about where did you actually go to school?
So I went to school at PCPA, Philadelphia College of the Performing Arts. And before that, I studied privately with Clement Petrillo, who was
Yes,
the
Dean.
Mr. Petrillo. And I had the chance to, that's where I learned all my technique and the flow. And he was, Mr. Petrillo, no one really knows. He worked with Toscanini. He helped rebuild La Scala. Yes, he lived with Toscanini. With Toscanini, Horowitz, who was married to Toscanini's daughter. I mean, Mr. Petrillo had such a great life. And everything he taught was to do it over and over again, take it, break it down, build it back up, measures 1 to 1 5 times. And this lyricism. And I sort of caught on right away because in my home, everyone thinks because I'm Italian, Gina Di Marrazza,
right?
Di Medio, everyone thinks I grew up on opera. I grew up with Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett. My parents and we would all dance. We come from a musical family that loved music, went to concerts. Went to operas, but more so it was the lyricism of Frank put on top of, again, everything's like a 7-layer dip.
Of course.
So studying with Mr. Petrillo, then I went to PCP. I continued my studies with him. And then I thought I was going to be just a concert pianist. And then I realized that after I had, Annette and I, my sister Annette, Annette.
Of course.
We have a 2-piano team, so we did a lot of chamber music. So I always loved, there's chamber, there's accompanying. And there were times where I would be accompanying Annette when she would play the Prokofiev Third Concerto.
Yes.
So the whole idea of accompanying, which most pianists hate to do, I love to be the mattress for anyone, whether it's a singer. At that time, I was with Annette. And then I met David Arbin, who was the associate concertmaster of the Philadelphia Orchestra. And Annette and I had played Carnival of the Animals up in Saratoga. And he said, I think you'd be a really good accompanist. For violinist, and he really sang through his violin.
Yes.
I was horrible. I mean, he taught me and was so patient. Like I'd play I'd start, he'd be like, no, and I was like, one note I played. He understood that I wasn't really listening, and he taught me, and we raised $1 million to build a synagogue in Pennsylvania. That's very important to David. Then I went from there. And then when I went to PCP, I thought I was going to be a concert pianist. And then I woke up one day and I said I didn't want to do it. So I said, I'm going to be an accountant because I love math. I love numbers.
Math and music, same.
Yeah, everyone thinks English. Nope, I love math. So I got a call the next day from Franco Iglesias. And when he was PCPA, and he said, I need a pianist to do, I think it was the
master classes. Didn't he do the master classes?
Yeah, well, at that time, he just needed somebody to come in and play Faust. And I said, I don't even know what Faust is. And I said, I don't know how to sight read because most pianists don't know how to sight read. You're reading exactly and you're reproducing them. So I went in and I played the big ensemble and I got through and he said, Mamita, you're a great accompanist of singer. I said, I don't even know what I did. So I got to work with him, got to work with Jim Longacre. We all masterclass for Domingo, and I was hooked. So then I came down to Catholic University. I got my master's in accompanying and chamber music, which my father was like, what, Gina, what are you doing? And I said, and I got to work with Dr. Cordovana, some really great singers down at Catholic, down here in Washington. And I got hooked, whether it was someone singing vocally, that sounds funny, singing as a vocalist or singing through their instrument, because that's what we all want to do.
Absolutely.
There has to be a good line. There has to be the theater, but you got to have that line. You got to go over the bar line.
Absolutely.
So, and then I enjoyed coaching and I enjoyed Sondheim. Then I got very into music theater.
Right. You spoke, now you have a very diverse, I mean, you just said Sondheim, you said chamber music. I mean, you've done all these things. What what is your actual, what would you say is your actual favorite? Do you like the accompaniment that? Do you like, is it the chamber music? Is it a violinist? Is it an instrumentalist? Is it a vocalist? Is it, what do you personally?
Yeah. I mean, I think I like duos the best because we're sort of like have this marriage of, coming up with something. I love giving recitals that way too. But I mean, I loved working with Ed Albert. I don't know if you remember Ed Albert.
Yes. Eddie Albert. Yes, sure.
Yeah. Dear, did my master's recital. Loved working with him. We used to perform all over. And I work now with a flutist because he sings. And yes. Wow. Dr. Card, he and I started Rowan Prep at Rowan University.
I know the name.
Yeah. Bob is great. He was a great singer, and then he was also a flutist. When I was with David, if I'm going to work with you, you got to really want to do it so excellently, which comes from Petrillo, working with Petrillo and my sister Annette, because there's something that you're going to unravel in the music that you really have to look deep about. And so I like to analyze everything, and then thank God if I can keep my technique, which you have to practice,
sure,
you make something very theatrical. So it's the person you work with. Sure. Are they willing to break it down and build it back up? So
in your university settings, do you find it difficult that, because singers start later in life and they're musically they're a little behind. Do you find it difficult to try and bring this out in people, because emotions are a scary thing, and to sing with them, and first of all they're just learning how to sing, and then when you add all these things to it, it becomes a little bit overwhelming. How do you bring that out in somebody? I mean, just not from the musical standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. How do you work on that?
Well, that's to bring it out is the easy part, because I'm like, don't you hear that she's running away from the guy? Because I say, listen to what the accompaniment is doing. First of all, you have to train the singer who is listening to himself or herself. And they sing sometimes the singer's too slow. They love to hear their voice. Let's go. Nobody wants to hear it. Get over the bar line. So we work on that. But then you have those technical things. And part of the reason that people pick a wrong tempo is because of their technique, because they don't hear, how are they going to get across, or they think they have to take this breath. So everything goes back to the breath. And so they always start, if I work with a singer and they start too late on the breath, if I'm doing an intro, they should be breathing with me. I breathe with them. If you ever watch me accompany anybody, I'm like, and because I have to catch them. That's the only way, especially with a vocalist. It's not with a violin. You can see the bow come down. Right. With a flutist, Bob will go like that. I don't even have to look at him because I've worked with so many singers. I can't look here, but you have to go with me. I was just working with coaching one of my students who I always want my students to accompany. We went and did a rehearsal for the first time with the masks, everything, with the clarinetist. He had no idea to look at her.
Really?
And I had written, you always put the smiley on the thing. And I said, she's breathing. She's so good. She's breathing, Eli. You must go with it. And then he got it. And you could see how it meshes together. Right. But that takes time. That takes a technique. And if I'll work with a singer, I'll say, listen, you just don't know how to sing that. And I'm a coach. I'm not a voice teacher. You must go back to your teacher and get that technical. How are you? You're going to push out. You're going to push in. You're going to do this. But you don't know how to do it. So it's like doing a cartwheel and you're like, I sort of know. No, there's a technique to doing a cartwheel. You have to go and learn it with your teacher. And again, who do you trust?
That's an important thing. That's very important.
Of course, yeah.
Do you find that teaching accompaniment or accompanists to learn how to accompany, do you sense it's very difficult to get a connection, like you were just saying, that you're watching her breathe. But as far as a musical idea, because everybody's musical thoughts are slightly different, how do you explain to your students when they are accompanying, how do you get that feeling of where, because you have a set way, the accompanist that you're teaching has one, and either the artist or the instrumentalist or singer who's singing has their own way. So how do you get that to melt?
So what I do is we always go back to the score,
Mm-hmm.
look at tempo markings,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so there's sort of, if the tempo is too fast, we say, well, the guy didn't say like vivace, it's allegretto, is that slower or quicker? You always make comparisons. You have to say that everything is relative to something.
Okay.
So, and that's if you're teaching like a student, like this was like a rehearsal. We had like 1 hour to do it. And so what I said was, when you're in a rush, it's balance and it's the tempo you choose. And you're not listening, because a clarinetist, also for balance, let's go back to balance. When she gets in the lower range, you can't hear her. Right. When she's screaming up there, play. You can bring it up, because it almost, you could both sort of you want to sort of build that together in that. Piano, if she's at piano, you have to be a pianissimo at that point. But she must always feel the pulse. And everyone has to know where the beat one is. And sometimes when I work with singers, if it's too like, I can't hold on to it, I'm like, they have no idea where beat one is.
Yeah. So
we go back and we say, look at the piano score. The pianist will give you that strong one. Maybe you have to go off of it, like if it's a jazz rip, or if it's just it's like a syncopation. But you need to use one another, but listen to it, but know the score inside out. So when for example, when my student went to work with the clarinetist, I made him sing the part. You have to sing her part if she's not there. Mm-hmm. But the clarinetist was like rushing to it. I said, do you know what's in the piano part or in the accompaniment, whether it's a transcription or from an orchestral piece, a symphonic piece? You have to know what's in both of your parts, and then you can walk together. And it might be something different than what you hear on YouTube. Who cares? But you have a plan.
Right.
You have to have a plan together. And then based on tempo, based on volume, based on balance, and the technique, you got to go back to your teacher. The technique we can't help you with.
If you had to think back and to, any performance that you've ever done, is there one? Is there one performance that stands out in your mind that you said that everything just went perfectly? Do you have one of those performances or several or a couple that you can share with us?
Wow. I think I did excellently. I don't think I did perfectly, but, I remember the Swan in Carnival of the Animals. So when Annette and I played that with the Philadelphia Orchestra, I think it was, I forget his name, is brilliant cellist. And, the pianist is doing something like nothing. You're like sort of being the wooder. Uh-huh. And I remember playing it, doing something that's like, you're just the wooder.
Right.
And he's trying to fit in. And it was Bill Stokes. That's what, Stokings. It was perfect. And at the end, you just went, and no one could clap. That's when you did it. When everybody's always rushing to clap.
Yeah. It
was that silence. You're like, and so I remember when Annette and I did the the two pianos with the Philadelphia, that was perfect. When Bob and I played we did a performance at Carnegie Hall, and we did some we did the Franck, and there was just that, it was just, the last movement or the second movement is like rushing and stuff. The pianist, it's really not, it's like the flutist could sit down in the second movement. It's all the pianist. You're playing like this crazy, you're like crazy. But the last movement is really about a resolution. I always say it's 4 movements. It's like a journey. And Bob and I just had the right tempo. Even when it got to the very end, it's very showy and stuff like that. And when it, boom, we did it. You always know when you hit it.
Yes.
You know what? So in working with Ed Albert, we would always know, because Ed and I also did a lot of art songs. It's funny, I would go back to the master class that I did with Domingo, because remember, I had just like Una Furtiva Lagrima. I didn't even know it before. So now I listen to that. People say, oh, I heard it on. I said, don't even turn it on. Yeah. Now, if I did it with Jim, I would really work with him, because, I just learned, it's my goal not to just stand behind the singer. It's to give it momentum for a singer. So They're the two good and the one I wish I could do it more with Jim again. Do it again with Jim.
You know, there's always that one thing that sticks in the back of your head that you said, I wish I could do it one more time.
I listened to it. I was like, it was all wrong. Like, throw it out. But
you know,
I was young. I mean, I was like,
we all have those.
Yeah, John. We're all honest. So
yeah, I just
it's important to know what works and what doesn't.
Oh, absolutely, sure. I agree. Could you picture yourself doing anything except for music? Now, of course, you know, I know you're a mom, and you know, aside from family things, you know, because family, we're Italian, family means everything to us. So, could you imagine yourself doing anything else but music?
You know, I have to tell you, John, I love to run things. So I've been an administrator. I ran Levine School of Music for 17 years. I started Rowan Prep, a community school of music. I like to put things together and, you know, build curriculum. I'm at Montgomery College. I'm working with underserved students in this ACES program. And I have an arts and culture program. There's always arts in it. So, and then I accompany. I couldn't imagine my life without doing music. And I find myself, if I'm not doing music, I sort of fall off the wagon, even as a person. Yeah. So it was a blessing from my mom and dad. Yeah. And just to have, you know, even my brother, we even had this group called the Demedio Four, and I was the singer because I've always loved to sing.
I did not know that. Is that
something? My God, I go to bars and my mother's like, you're disgracing your father. Singing, John. And Mr. Bertrand used to say to me, he would say, am I teaching you piano or am I teaching you voice? And I said, I'm singing the line. So, yes. You know, no, I couldn't imagine my life without music, but I do like to run things and build things. And so,
but it is always in the arts. So that.
Oh, yes, of course.
There you go. Yeah. I think, you know, as many years as I've known you, I find so charismatic that, and it's drawing. I can't see how people wouldn't be drawn. You're an ace for our art because you're passionate about what you do. You are, again, your playing is so luscious and again, charismatic. That's the only word that I get to. You just draw people in, even just with this little bit of conversation that we had. You know, I'm like, yeah.
But so do you, John. But the goal is that we really love what we do. So I can't even lie about it. I mean, it just comes out. And I wish when we all get healthy that we can be in person and I can accompany.
That would be great.
Because it shows, you know, that would be my goal, John.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and I told everybody that, you know, I'm vaccinated now and I'm, you know, it's 3 weeks out. So, and I said that, you know, once this hell is over, we are all going to get together and, you know, we're going to come up to the building, the hall, and we are going to have one musical get together that it's never going to match anything. But in closing, I have to say that, first of all, you don't talk too much, especially in masterclass, because I love it. And everything that you say is so accurate and heartfelt and true. So you can talk all night long. So I could care less. But
thank you.
I am honored, and you really I can't thank you enough for coming and helping with masterclass. It's touches me dearly, and you're a dear friend, and I love you, and I can't wait till we work again.
Yes, John. You know, I'm humbled, and you've always been very, very kind and very inclusive of me, John. So thanks for getting me part of the team. I'm with you, John. And
thanks, Gene.
Goodbye,
it's great
John.
seeing you. Take care. Love you.
John.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest isn't here. He's stuck on the Schuylkill Expressway. Usually I know all the soprano songs and sing along with them. The rest I dance. Oh, I guess I can try it. My key, please. I should like, without a reiteration of the ego, to explain how very hard I find to make it out my cable round among my morbid creditors. I'm fearfully in debt, for I always have afforded anything that I could get. But say I enjoy the best of what there is in life. I've been lucky in my love affairs, I never had a wife. I've been some little interest that the dry affairs of state and the businessmen who call on me are coldly left to wait. For every day is ladies' day with me. I'm quite at their disposal all the while, and my pleasure it is double if they come to me in trouble. But I always find a way to make them smile, the little darlings. I've no doubt I should have married long ago. It's the proper thing to do, you'll all agree. But I never could find anyone in wasting all my time on one. For every day is ladies' day with me. It's a frightful thing to think of all the hearts that I have broken, although each one fell in love with me without the slightest token that my fatal gift of beauty and a flame for little heart. But I've always found small favors always seem to ease the smarts. A position for a cousin or a loan for dear papa, just a dainty diamond necklace or a pretty motor car. But I don't begrudge the colors and necklaces of pearl. All the money that I've ever saved is what I spent on girls. For every day is ladies' day with me. I'm quite at their disposal all the while, and my pleasure it is double if they come to me in trouble. I always find a way to make them smile, the little darlings. I've no doubt I should have married long ago. It's the proper thing to do, you'll all agree. But I never could find any fun in wasting all my time on one. For every day is ladies' day with me.
We have Daniel Pantano, singer, artist, and director of concert operetta theater. Danny, welcome.
Thank you, John. As always, this is fabulous.
Now, we know each other for many, many, many years.
Yes.
Let's tell our audience, where are you originally from?
Right where I live now, South Philadelphia.
There you go.
The accent, but I still live here.
How old were you started to notice that you had musical talent?
I came through it weirdly. I was a trombonist in junior high and high school.
Really? That's one thing I did not know.
Yep. I hated being a alto in junior high school, and I hated the choral director in high school. So I stayed in the orchestra and the band.
Wow.
When I went to college, my first college was in Florida, and I walked in with my trombone and I said, "Where's the orchestra?" And they looked at me and they're like, "It's 700 students on campus. There is none. We have a chorus." And I'm like, okay. I joined the chorus, and that was the first time I sang.
Really? Wow. I did not know that.
And one thing led to another, and here we are.
Bit. Yeah, he got bit. Who was actually your first voice teacher?
I had a voice teacher at Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm sorry to say that I don't remember his name. They gave me free voice lessons, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Wow. Yeah, sure.
And then I switched from there to Philadelphia College of the Performing Arts. Mm-hmm. The old PMA, which was then the new PCPA, was Enrico Di Giuseppe.
Right. Wow.
Loved him as a singer. I had him when I was doing chorus work. And, as a teacher, he was great, but he was at the beginning of his teaching. And I was at the beginning of my learning, and I'll leave it at that.
So you went through PCPA, PMA, and of course you did a few roles, and then once you passed PMA, where did you go after that?
I did 2 years at PCPA, PMA, and went to Boston University. Mm-hmm. Thought, let me go to someplace bigger, and I got a few scholarships, but I was in love with Boston, And Boston University was a wonderful school. And I had a very interesting audition. I just kind of showed up, and the head of the department heard me, and he said, "Okay, you're in."
Wow.
I went there as a junior,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a contralto, Mary Davenport, who did her career, believe it or not, all in Europe.
Wow.
She sang a few Italian roles, but she sang mostly Wagnerian.
Wow.
Yeah. And then she came back to Boston, which was her hometown, and she taught there. And I say most of what I learned was because of her. I still have the voice I have today because of her.
Wow.
I don't have my high range because of her.
Okay.
You know, but was fantastic. I had a great time at Boston University. I did very strange things there.
Yep. Like what?
This for all the young people: learn, and do what you can. When I was at PCPA, they said one day, "Does anyone want to go do makeup for Opera Company of Philadelphia? You know, no pay, but do you want to do opera makeup?" I said, "Okay, I will."
No kidding.
And I went over, and they taught me how to do makeup. I go to Boston University, I get a work study, and they wanted me to file. And I'm like,
Right.
"Excuse me?" I said, "Anything with Opera Company of Boston." And they're like, "Where?" And the guy calls me over. He says, "You get a job with them, we'll pay you." And I became their assistant makeup artist for 5 years.
Wow.
And from there, I got into their AGMA chorus. I met like the greats of the greats who were working there. James McCracken singing Cavaradossi.
Wow.
The gentleman, I can't remember his name, a baritone who passed away way too early, Donald Graham.
Donald Graham, right? Yep. Okay.
I worked with him. We got him right into his positions because he didn't know anything about the staging of the show. And then Boston Lyric Opera hired me as a chorister, and they did the Ring Cycle. And we did it on Broadway, and we did it in Boston. And I was the makeup artist, designer, and did the show with them. And it was magical. And then from there, I auditioned at Academy of Vocal Arts. Say also to all the young singers, do what you do well. Don't go in with something new. And, you know, this is what Maria Callas sang. I went in singing Papageno's hanging scene, and they looked bored. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you think. And I remember I fainted and rolled on the floor.
My God.
Oh, why not? Hey, if I don't get in, let me at least have a good time.
Right.
And I heard the head of the school, Dino Yiannopoulos, laughing. And I found out 15 minutes later, I was in.
That's absolutely great.
And as I say about auditions, do what you do well.
Mm-hmm.
Had an audition for Des Moines Metro Opera, and I was in a kind of not happy mood that day for whatever reason. And I go in, and they're not looking at me. Look at me. Okay? And they're like, go ahead, sing. And I said, oh, excuse me, maestro. He said, what are you going to sing? I said, I'm going to sing Fiorello's Aria and Cabaletta from I Barrieri di Sevilla. As you know, John, it doesn't exist.
It exists, right?
Writing, and they look up and they're like, okay. I said, excuse me, maestro, one more thing. Would you like the Zeta Order text? Would you like the Ruth and Thomas Martin translation? Would you like your translation? Or would you like the Barbara Silverstein translation? And he looks up and he says, Silverstein. And I sang it. I got hired, and I did it for PBS television.
Isn't that something? Wow.
So most of my background in music has been in what I call secondary roles, compromario roles, and I love them. And it's fabulous to do that with the greats singing roles. I remember once for a Barbara Seville, the Bartolo comes up to me and he says, I'm scared of you. And I said, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. He says, yeah, you're going to steal the scenes. I said, thank you.
There you go.
I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. You're going to teach me every piece of shtick that you, as Bartolo, who has done it all over the world, what you like. I hate to say, Vahui to the stage director, we will do the production that way. And we fell in love with each other, taught me everything. And
I remember probably When you went to Boston, of course, I didn't see you. Then
Right.
you came back, and when you came to AVA, you
Right.
sang "Mask of the Angels." Is that
Right.
with Sean Deibler? That I hadn't
Yes.
heard you for. Oh, it had to be. Oh God, 4 years, maybe.
No, it was more than that. That was at the fifth year because I was in
Fifth
Boston.
year. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
And you came and you know, I've always been a fan. Sang excellent. It was absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
Actually, the whole production was stunning. But you know,
I agree.
I always love when my friends do great things.
I did what I did well, and I kept within my box. I knew my vocal limitations, and I made sure that I stayed with what I did. I was chubby. I made sure that I put myself out there as a comic more than anything, and it worked. It was a lot of fun.
You had a wonderful career, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember you doing makeup, but I don't remember you doing that for that
Yeah.
you know, intensely. What brought you to starting this company of
My operetta?
Yeah.
Two things. I was at the Juilliard bookstore back in the 90s, and I found this book called The History of Operetta, and it was on sale. So I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, let me buy it. And a very good friend of mine that we went to PCPA with together, Sandra Hartmann, we know her,
Yeah.
job with Theaters des Westens in Berlin, Germany, which was their operetta house. Okay, so for everyone listening, everyone knows Fledermaus, everyone knows Merry Widow, and after that, it's like, huh, what?
Right.
Yes. And Sandy was singing in the ensemble. I'm sorry, but great operettas. It's a very small group that toured, like 5 of them. And she sent me a cassette tape. And it was the first time that I heard real Lehar pieces other than Widow. And my favorite composer, Emmerich Kallmann.
Wow.
One thing led to another. I don't know how it actually began. I think I just loved the music because I was really more a Broadway baby than I was opera. I mean, I went to see my first Broadway show when I was maybe 9 or 10. My mother took me to see Annie Get Your Gun with Ethel Merman. But my mother said, who's the old lady singing on stage? And seriously, she said, shut up, she's a star. And from there, I went on to every Broadway show. Unfortunately, back then, if you were short, didn't smoke, didn't do drugs, and was not thin, you weren't going to get hired in Broadway. Now it's totally different. And that's how I got into opera. I got into the operetta. I knew that I did not want to because I had seen so many volunteer groups visually were not appealing with their sets and costumes. Everything with concert version. I've had a great time. I've had 260 singers go through, not gone on to the Met. I would say 15 are gone on to international careers, these nieces and nephews. And I think the best part was that I'm not a director, I'm a producer. And I would love going out there and I would say to them, you've learned it, put it in your body, put it in your voice. And the best part is have fun.
Right.
Please have fun. I don't want to say, oh, no, move your fingers the other way. No, the right hand should go right. It's concert work. It's you, your body, your mind, your voice, and the music. If you can put it across, I'm not sure I can help you. And I will say I've had a 97.8%. I'm backstage loving it. I mean, it's for my enjoyment. And when I hear the audience scream bravo, I know these young singers, and I've used all ages, but you know, it's great to give a young singer the chance to do a role that no one else has done.
You know, I've been to many performances that you've put on. I want to revert a little bit.
Sure.
Now, I of course I know your mom. Was there anybody else in the family that was musical?
No, absolutely, unequivocally no. The only thing I know is my grandfather's half brother, who I don't know his name, who was from Calabria and supposedly might have been illegally or born out of wedlock from someone in royalty.
Oh boy, okay.
Story. But he was a composer.
Oh really? Okay.
Moved to Argentina. I've never found him. Any of his works. He was not in opera or voice. No one in my family is
Wow.
musical.
It's amazing how, and you got this talent. It's really something.
We all have talent, and I think it's finding it,
Yes,
doing it.
I agree.
It's great to hear these singers or you singers, all of you, perform. And the best is when it's something that you are really, I could see you right in the middle of it. That's when, my feet start watering out and I'm just like, okay, this is it. Say when you go into those auditions, to thine own self be true, vocally and mentally. Go in and say, first of all, I'm going to blow you out of the water.
Good for you.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So don't be scared, but do something that, you can really say, okay, I did it. And when you walk off the stage, walk off proudly and say, yeah, okay, you don't like me? You don't hire me? Your loss, not mine.
That's great advice. I mean, and you're a person that hears singers constantly. I mean, you have a magnificent ear and an eye for talent and detail.
Thanks.
If you had to tell a young singer to get ready for any audition, what would be your first guideline into putting your foot onto that stage? What would that be?
First, I would say know your music inside and out. Don't do anything fairly new. Do the old I hate to say the old standard war horses that but it's got to be in your body and in your mind. Walk out there. Got to be careful with this, but you walk out there like you own the stage. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean like,
no.
Hello, yes. But you need to not go out timidly.
Yes.
I want to see that, because if I see timid, it's like, no, you're not even chorus.
Right.
I want to see, now, give me 3 minutes. You will stare at me, and you will like me. Okay? And that's got to be the aura that I see. Mm-hmm. Diva or Devo, but just I am confident.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
You can't say, oh, I have a little cough today. Oh, I shouldn't have had that coffee. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Right. Train was late. No, no one wants, I don't want to hear that as a producer.
Right.
I want 3 minutes of amazement.
Right.
And I said to the one young lady who I did her class with, John, mm-hmm. I'm the person sitting in the orchestra. I don't know this piece. Mm-hmm. It was a Broadway piece. I know it. And I said, I'm the person sitting there in the third row that's hearing this for the first time. And by the end of it, I need to be, oh my God. And she did that. She blew me away. I heard everything that she said, and she owned the piece. Wow. I didn't know the piece. Okay, so it's different than Una voce poco fa or, Una furtiva lagrima or Largo. Okay, everyone and their brother has sung it. Make it yours.
Right.
I'm not doing the Leonard Warren version. I'm not Maria Callas version. You need to go out. It's your voice. It's not their voice.
Right.
And I want to see confidence more than anything. Not overconfidence, but,
honest.
Right? Honest.
Honest confidence. I'm going to go back again. As a performer, what was your moment? What was the one or two or three times that when you walked off the stage, the hair on the back of your neck stood up and you walked off the wings and you were 4 foot high? What would that moment be?
I can't really say other than being a compromario and a character, it was, you needed to control those sequences. Mm-hmm. Okay. And for me, it was vocally, you don't have a lot to do with a lot of these. You got one, Le cena è pronta. Well. But even with Fiorello, I remember that I was the weirdest, craziest person. There I am conducting the Eco Ridente behind the conductor, okay, who was not good, so I won't say where it was. And I did every one of his moves, which were like this.
Oh, my God.
And I had 27 people in the orchestra watching me and laughing, but he couldn't see me because they thought, I'm going to get fired. I think you need to go out there and not think of it as work.
Right.
It's not work.
No.
it's an orgasm.
Right. Exactly. There you go.
Orgasm of life.
Thank you. Thank you. I said that, because people know me, the way that I speak, I went to the Joe Pesci School of Linguistics, but, I think that it's sometimes it's just, it's better than the best sex you've ever had. That moment that you get, it's just, it's unexplainable. And we, as performers, we've all had them. Sometimes they don't come as much as we would like, but we've all had them.
And I think my other big thing was, I want to be in an ensemble. Okay, we're talking about Barber. I want to be one of those 7 people singing, and I want to know that I can equal the Rosina, the Bartolo, the Basilio, and the Figaro, in my little roles. But I want to be there, and I liked singing with people that were older than me, have worked around the world, were confident in themselves, and kind and gracious. And I would say 99% were kind and gracious.
Yes.
I loved the musical orgasm was singing together with someone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great to go out there and do the Lucia scene, a solo, but opera is all about, or I should say performance is all about the relationship with the other people on stage.
I can't agree with you more. That's probably one of the best things that were said in these interviews. Again, I want to come back to you now as a producer
and singer still.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. In fact, you just did something. What is it? Recently?
Which hopefully has been burned.
No.
I thought I was a great backup dancer to the Mariah Carey. I was. I'm sorry. I went 100% in. And anything to upstage the soprano.
Oh my God, too good. You kill me, honest to God. All right, I gotta get serious again. Okay. Yeah. I can't.
We'll cut this later.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I won't. As a producer, how do you get the feel of who is going to work with what person as the ensemble? Because the operetta, it really is a lot of ensemble work. It has to be together like this, or it becomes boring, melodramatic, I guess.
Right.
How do you find that perfect cast and know that these people are going to work well together? What's that feeling? What's it like to say yes and maybe not?
No, I think most of it is the personality of the person and the centeredness of the person.
Okay.
I can find good singers like this.
Sure.
Give me 12 measures and I'll know if you can sing Kalaman's Gypsy Princess or not.
Right.
But I need to know personality-wise. And I think talking to them and feeling how relaxed and confident they are really helps. And I think the other thing with a concert version is there's no sets, there's no costumes, and there's no director per se. I direct the on and off, the exits and all, but I'm just saying it's you and your voice and the person you're singing with. Mm-hmm. And I will say that I haven't had a problem, but I think also for the singers who are listening to this, it's working with people that believe in you. I mean, a stage director, things like that. Yeah. That person is like, whoa, she's hot, do it. And then you can do it from there. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe it's just a knack, but I mean, I've had people that given them enough room to help themselves. Right. And if they do, it's with roses and a silk cord. And I'm backstage crying because it's like, and they will come back to me and say, I was able to bring something out that I didn't know that I could.
Wow.
Okay, so I feel I'm an educator to a point. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm not going to tell you how to read that line.
Right.
Try it. If I hate it, we'll talk about it. I don't have a good answer for that. Maybe it's the smell, but I think it's just like, I need to see confidence. I need to say, I'm good at what I do.
How hard is it to say no? Now, you know hundreds and hundreds of singers. I am sure that you are uh, emailed and called and text to death.
I got one today.
I'm sure. How is it to say no?
I will say that I've not had to say no to many. What happens is we do 3 productions a year. A lot of them are just concert. Like the next thing coming up after COVID will probably be a Franz Lehart concert with 2 sopranos, 2 tenors. Boom. Okay. Now, when you get into the ensemble work, I usually use 8 in the chorus, and they do all the small roles.
Okay.
But I never really had to say no to anyone.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's pretty fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, you go into my list, and then we try to see what we can do.
Gotcha.
Because I use a lot of up and coming or younger, some of them don't stay in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Many years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So I grab them then, like many of the singers that have sung here for Masterclass. They might be in a city for 2, 3, not in New York, but somewhere else, a few years. This is a quick paid gig. It's a new piece of music. Oh God, I don't have to memorize it. Woo! and you know, you hit them when they're young, can still, I think the thing is they can try things out. I see it go from 60% to 97%, and I didn't have to do it. You did it standing out there. Kind of feel I help to a point by not putting you in a box.
Great. Yeah.
I think the singers need to realize that, you know, I never really talk musically other than sometimes tempos, and that's okay, you know. But, you know, you have to go out there and remember you're singing great, okay, but you have to give them everything else.
We have probably, there's your group. I don't know any other operetta groups that perform in our area in Philadelphia.
No, none. Well, the Rose Tree Valley does.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, that's Gilbert and Sullivan only. You have your library is quite full.
More Viennese, much more Viennese than American.
Yes.
I don't touch Gilbert and Sullivan because you have Savoy Company here, which is the oldest GNS group in the United States. Don't touch it.
Right. Exactly.
Don't touch it.
Have you found that culture in general, the knowledge of opera and operetta has diminished at all? Or do you find that there's a bigger appreciation that's really unknown?
I think it's twofold. I have my senior attendees, and I'll say to them, for you who have heard it, to hear it again. For you who have never heard it, to hear it now. I find my senior listeners are educated and understand what it is. I like the younger people who come in, and some of them are coming in because they're boyfriend and girlfriend of the singers, they're friends of the singers, and I'm sure some of them are saying, oh, what the heck is this? The end, they're like, oh my God. I mean, think about Widow is okay, Widow is Widow, Fledermaus is the Fledermaus, but some of the later Lehars are sad stories. It's I must give you up. You must Paganini, the operetta Paganini. He's screwing around with Napoleon's sister who's married. Okay, fine. Thank you. And she's having a great time with him, but she realizes that he is the violinist of the world. And she says, I must give you up.
Wow.
You must go out for the world. One operetta we can't do right now is Land of Smiles, unless you have Asian singers. But she's from Vienna, he's Chinese. They marry, she goes to China with him, and she misses her family to the point of ridiculousness. And Su Chong says to her, I don't want to lose you, but you must go. You must go back to your family. And those are the things that we don't see in operetta. I mean, there's some really tearjerkers that it's playing it for the people who want to see it and playing it for the people who have never seen it before and giving it to them in a really easy way.
Right.
you know, just that person on stage. You have to realize where he or she is, what the scene is, and it works that way. I mean, it's, you know, I think I've done 24 shows, 25, I can't remember. So I mean, you know, little by little, it's fun.
It's a great accomplishment. Danny, in closing, I have to say,
Yeah.
I have always been a huge fan.
And I'm a fan of yours too.
Your talents, and I say this not again because you're in front of me. It's just because it's obvious. You're a man of many talents. You are a gifted person, and the one thing that I appreciate more than anything is you bastard.
Do it.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you. This is going on. I'm not cutting this. No, all kidding aside, we love to laugh, and we always do when we're together all the time.
Of course.
But all seriousness, I thank you for bringing this, your visions to life. I mean, you really, you have a special gift to do that. It takes a special person to do that. Yeah. You being a part of Masterclass is so special to me. And as soon as I called, you said, absolutely, which, I thank you for. But what I appreciate more is your friendship. And
the same here. Thank you so much. I loved Masterclass because I was able to say things that I knew something about. There were so many, and you have to realize that everyone doing the Masterclass are either my colleagues, some were my teachers,
sure, some
are just my friends, but no one is competing with each other at our side.
It's the best. It's the best bunch of people, and that's what makes it special. They're friends. We're all friends. We all have one vision, one guidance. George Hogan said it one of the best. He says there is no old school. It's one school, and we're all from that same view. And that's what makes it so special, because you're going to get honesty, you're going to get musicality, and you're going to get vocalisms from all of us. And
well, I feel bad because I feel I should pay you because. Watching the master classes, the ones that I'm not part of the panel, and I watch them all. I'm learning.
Wow.
Okay, if you can't learn from that, then
something's wrong. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't talk in musical terms. I talk in staging and in producing terms.
Sure,
I do it. But you listen to some of these great conductors, these great coaches, great singers, and you're like, wow, I never thought of that. Wow. And the light is going off in my head, even on a piece that I'm not singing.
Right. Well,
but I mean, the brilliance that comes out of the voices of the other colleagues here has been amazing. I mean, and the great way we're doing it. This is, we're sitting at home, we're laughing, we're having fun.
Sure.
Love each other. And because of that, we can love the singers and give them information that hopefully will help them. The other thing I just say to the singers quickly is sing wherever you can, whatever you can. Yeah, the Met is there, Royal Opera's there, Bayerische Opera is there, Vienna State's there. I'm not saying you can't make it, but set your sights reasonably and walk up the ladder. I knew being a comprimario that I could do great things in great companies with great colleagues, and I had a great time doing it. I never looked at one of the other singers and say, oh, that should have been me. Oh, not at all. I'm walking there, I'm holding your hands, I'm listening to you, and it's life. It's life. So enjoy it. Just enjoy whatever level you're doing and bring the best to it. Not over the best. That gets bad. The real best. But John, you're great. I thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I have a feeling, are we going to do what, 12 years of this maybe?
We'll see. Danny, I love you. You take care.
Love you too.
Take care.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.